Imagine a global superpower at the peak of its engineering and military might, entirely swallowed by a violent ocean in a single day and night. For over 2,000 years, humanity treated this story as a philosophical fairy tale. The obsession begins 2,400 years ago in the halls of ancient Athens, where the philosopher Plato insisted he was recording a factual, historical account. He described a remarkably specific geography. The ringed city sat just beyond the boundary of the known ancient world, situated past the Pillars of Hercules, which we recognize today as the Straits of Gibraltar. Mainstream historians long dismissed his account. They viewed the empire as a fictional, decadent society designed to fail, a political fable meant to warn the Greeks against the dangers of pride and greed. But in recent decades, modern deep-sea sonar and ground-penetrating radar have begun to pull strange circular anomalies from the depths of the Earth. These physical structures appear to mirror the specific layout described in the ancient texts. Physical evidence is mounting that Atlantis was a real, catastrophic event, and its sudden destruction was recorded intentionally as a warning to humanity. To understand the physical origins of the story, we look to the southern Aegean Sea 3,600 years ago. Today, tourists see a picturesque crescent-shaped bay on the island of Santorini, but this water fills the collapsed crater of a sleeping supervolcano, once home to the highly advanced Minoan civilization. At the edge of the island lay the town of Akrotiri. Excavations reveal a marvel of Bronze Age engineering, featuring multi-story stone buildings, paved streets, and sophisticated indoor plumbing. They were the undisputed masters of the Mediterranean. Rich from vast maritime trade networks, they lived in an isolated artistic paradise. Around 1600 BC, that paradise detonated. The Santorini volcano erupted in a blast 10 times more powerful than Krakatoa, vaporizing the center of the island and unleashing 30-foot tsunamis that battered the coastlines of Crete, Egypt, and Turkey. This topographical scan reveals a hidden landscape. For centuries, scientists assumed the center of Santorini's caldera was empty, but when marine teams deployed state-of-the-art multi-beam sonar, they mapped a sunken central island the size of downtown Manhattan, complete with a narrow, ancient shipping channel. It is a near-perfect match for Plato's circular layout. The atmospheric chaos of this eruption reached Egypt. At the Temple of Karnak, a stone monument commissioned by Pharaoh Ahmose I details an apocalyptic storm of darkness and devastating flooding, offering a first-hand Egyptian account of the Aegean disaster. Santorini aligns with many of the physical details recorded by Plato, including the ringed layout and a fabled ship canal. However, its location squarely within the Mediterranean fails the geographic requirement of being situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules. If we follow Plato's coordinates westward, out into the vast Atlantic Ocean, we arrive at the southwestern coast of Spain. Here lie the vast, muddy marshlands of Doñana National Park. Centuries ago, this region was an open bay. When researchers pointed modern satellite imaging at the mud, they noticed striking concentric circular patterns buried directly beneath the surface. Targeting the site with deep-ground radar and electrical tomography, an international team mapped an extensive network of ancient subsurface walls and what appears to be a massive buried port structure. This geological cross-section reveals a specific signature of sudden destruction. Deep beneath the soil sits a trapped layer of methane gas. This occurs when a massive amount of organic material is suddenly buried and compressed by a heavy wave of sediment. Geologists tie this trapped gas directly to a giant tsunami launched from the Atlantic. The wave swept 60 miles inland, instantly drowning the coastal settlement in an impassable barrier of mud. Archaeologists suspect this vanished port could be the legendary empire of Tartessos, a region famous for extreme mineral wealth that abruptly disappeared from historical records. It proves that the sudden oceanic destruction of a wealthy Atlantic superpower is a documented geological reality. The human drive to find Atlantis has also generated visually stunning false leads. High in the desert of Mauritania sits the Eye of the Sahara, a giant geological bullseye with concentric rings that match Plato's exact dimensions. Despite the visual alignment, scientific analysis proves it is a completely natural 100-million-year-old volcanic dome. researchers have found absolutely no pottery, walls, or evidence of human habitation from the era. The desire for answers also spawned controversial supernatural theories. In the 1930s, the American psychic Edgar Cayce claimed that Atlantean refugees buried a hall of records detailing their advanced technology somewhere in Egypt. Alternative researchers point to the deep, rounded weathering patterns on the limestone enclosure surrounding the Great Sphinx. They argue these fissures were carved by thousands of years of heavy rainfall, pushing the construction back to at least 9700 BC. When scientific teams scanned the bedrock beneath the Sphinx's paws, they actually located deep underground chambers, sparking massive international excitement about a hidden library. But physical drilling collapsed the theory. The voids were simply natural, water-filled limestone fissures. Decades of mapping confirmed the Giza complex was built entirely by dynastic Egyptians, using copper chisels and stone hammers. The physical landscape forces us to discard visual coincidences and supernatural prophecies. The foundation of the search lies strictly within the hard geological data. The search for Atlantis has revealed that the story lacks a single set of GPS coordinates. The physical evidence suggests a composite memory. The story was likely forged from entirely real, documented cataclysms, the shattered Minoan islands in the Aegean and the suddenly drowned Spanish ports in the Atlantic, merged by the ancients into one ultimate narrative. We have to ask why this specific story survives. It bypassed rising tides and shifting sands to live in the collective human imagination for thousands of years. The narrative provides a way to process the fragile nature of human achievement. It documents our realization that even the most advanced societies are susceptible to the erratic forces of the planet. This story measures the illusion of our own permanence against geological events that can erase an empire overnight. The narrative of a civilization erased overnight remains a persistent record of human vulnerability. It functions as a recurring warning about the fragility of even our most advanced achievements.